What's going on, Thunder fans? We are back.
Word?
It's been almost 2 weeks, man.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We're back for another episode of Thunder Things. I'm Zach.
I'm Craig.
And we are the Thunder guys.
Thanks for the heads up there.
Did I spring that on
Yeah.
you? I guess I was quiet for like 30 seconds.
I guess I'm ready now.
Man, we're back.
I have no choice but to be ready.
I heard that. So there's been some basketball that has been played over the last, I think it's been 9 or 10 days since we got to record last. Either way, it's been a minute, man. Whether you are tuning in on the Crossover Radio app, watching on Facebook Live, thanks for joining us, or catching us after the fact on YouTube or whatever other podcast platform. We're glad you're here, and we're glad that you're tuning in, that you're listening. We've got some things to talk about concerning Thunder basketball. I'm particularly excited to. I've got some things. Listen, I'm a major Russell Westbrook advocate, and I don't think that comes as a surprise to anybody. But if it do, I've got some things to say, specifically to man. There's been so much Russell Westbrook slander, not just from his typical detractors, but from fans, Thunder fans, quote unquote. I have seen everything from trade Russell Westbrook to bench Russell Westbrook for Dennis Schroeder to the only thing that Westbrook brings to this team is losses. And I'm like, what's that? The Nick Young gift?
Yeah.
You know, that's me over the last couple weeks, I feel like. And let's throw some things out there, be very clear. He's struggled. And I'm not going to argue that his shot has been off, but he's still doing his thing. So, since we last recorded, we played 5 games, and I don't really want to go through every single one of them. Really only want to talk about the last couple.
Well, that's a bummer.
But
I've got notes.
Well, that doesn't mean that you can't talk about it.
That's fine.
So, because I definitely don't want to just skip over them, that kind of thing. I want to hit on them a little bit. But anyways, so where do you want to start here? Which game?
Let's just start with the Phoenix game.
Okay. We beat Phoenix. It's been a week and some days.
There's a reason I want to talk about this one, just because Russ played well.
Russ did not just play well. He went off. I felt like shooting-wise, he was solid, and that's really. I'm gonna go ahead and.
Abdul Nader also had 18. The music was still playing.
Oh, just a little bit.
Yeah, Nader had 18 off the bench, so that was huge.
Solid.
Good win.
Without
Paul George.
Here's the thing. Paul George was out. Phoenix's record is terrible, but they had won, I can't even remember, 3 of their last 5 or 4 of their last 6. They were starting to...
Look.
And it was in Phoenix. And,
I don't care who you're playing. If you're missing an all-star, it's a good win. You know what I'm saying?
Your best player of the season so far.
So, I'm happy with that one.
Oh, for sure. Went on to play Dallas in Dallas.
Russ did not play
in the first game of a back-to-back. Russ, I don't know if you've noticed, he's done this flippy-floppy thing.
It's like in every other.
Well,
no, it's like literally.
Shot well, shot terribly. Shot well, shot terribly. And it's just.
Yeah.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Like straight through this, no joke.
So that's a little disappointing to have seen that happen because we end up losing. Did you see him take the last shot?
Yes.
That was kind of frustrating.
Did not understand that, but...
Well, I did, because tried to get Paul George open. He wasn't open. I feel like, maybe that's a Billy Donovan. The play wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great.
Leading up to that, I felt like we weren't able to give Paul George the ball, several possessions in a row down the court, and I think maybe he should have walked the ball up instead of Russ. You know what I mean?
Well, he didn't walk it up. It was a throw-in.
No. I'm at last play, yes.
Okay.
I'm talking about leading up to that.
Okay, I got you.
When Dallas shot the 6 straight free throws. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
in between possessions, we weren't able to get the ball into his hands, and just because they were denying him the ball because he was making everything he shot. Right. So I think maybe in that situation, you just let Paul George walk it up instead of, trying to run a play to get it.
Well, and then even one time he did get the ball in his hands, but Dennis Smith Jr. played really good defense there at the end. I feel like that was incredibly underrated on his part. A lot of people just kind of overlooked that to go straight to the Russ hate. And once again, that's just kind of the way that it goes sometimes. And I feel like he has quickly he's been the scapegoat for a long time. Okay, wrong kind of goat you want to be.
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah.
But for the Thunder, he has been the scapegoat for years, dating back to Kevin Durant, I feel like. And a lot of that has been unfair. So here, maybe he deserved some of it. He took a couple shots there at the end that weren't great. He was kind of forced to take the final shot, which was a bummer. Almost hit. I think if he hits it, then nobody really has much to say.
No one cares.
Who knows?
Yeah. 23% from the three as a team. That's not.
It's about on par with.
Yeah, it's
not really.
It's about average.
Well, we're a little bit better than that, but the three ball has not been falling lately. But we've still managed to get wins. And I mean, moving ahead to the game against Dallas at home, New Year's Eve. To me, I felt like this was a big one for a lot of reasons. For Thunder fans, I felt like we needed the win because it was New Year's Eve, and it's been kind of a road-heavy schedule lately. Really wanted this one for the home crowd. Really wanted this one for Russell Westbrook. Really wanted this one.
Which, guess what? He shot well.
He shot really well. And he
6 of 6 from the free throw line.
And the game was...
Ding, ding, ding.
The game was never really close. I believe, Oklahoma City led from start to finish, which is what you like to see against a team like Dallas. Listen, no hate on Dallas. They're a solid team. They're a young squad. I think here, give them a few more years, they're going to be right in the thick of the West. And they've kind of held their own this season. They've had some ups and downs. Luka Doncic, however you say his name,
pretty solid.
He's solid. As a 19-year-old rookie, coming off winning the EuroLeague MVP, I mean, the dude's a player, and he's a guy. I think it's Andrew Schlecht over at Down to Dunk calls him. He's a guy.
He's a guy.
Okay, he's a guy. And
it blows my mind that he's only 19.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I do think that he's already getting some veteran calls, which isn't fair. Makes me mad. But if he plays for you, obviously, you like it. But Russell Westbrook just played what I would put in the realm of out of his mind for a normal guy. For him, not anything too crazy, but he did have a solid game, 32 points, 11 assists, 11 rebounds, 4 steals, shot 54.2% from the field. Only took 1 3, which he missed. That's fine. Big stat for me for the Thunder, only 25% from 3, but they only took 24. 6 for 24. Listen, I can live with that. It's not a great percentage, but as far as the attempts, it's not falling there.
We're not shooting 40.
Yeah.
So, 35 points off the bench also was a big one.
That's always nice to have.
Yeah.
Moved to Los Angeles to play the Lakers, the LeBron-less Lakers. I feel like this game was super hyped up by ESPN. Even though LeBron wasn't in it, he was never going to be in it. At least, because he'd missed several games before that. So leading up to it, I wasn't all that excited about it. I didn't think anything special about it. And we certainly played like LeBron was in the game. Did not play well at all.
I actually wrote that down. Like, if LeBron played, I think we lose that game. It's always hard to do that, but I
think that you play at your level of competition, so I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
If we played like that with LeBron in, then of course we lose. But
I just don't think
he wasn't, so we didn't. Yeah. So there's that. What impressed me the most was you go into the fourth quarter, you're down by 4 after leading by 2 at half. And really, if I can remember correctly, I'm pretty sure the Lakers got up by even more than that at one point in the third. Let me see what they're... Yeah, they led by... I guess they only led by 5 in the third. And then they pushed it back to 5 early in the fourth, but then really turned things around. Oklahoma City came back and led by 12 at the end, ended up closing out, which is solid because that's not something we've seen from this team, being able to close out games at times, especially into the fourth quarter down. So that was pretty solid to see. Once again, Russ did not shoot well. I believe this was his worst of the season, and it may be the worst shooting percentage by a player who got a triple-double in the history of the NBA.
Really?
I'm not sure. Jerry West was the previous record holder. I can't remember what his percentage was, but it was somewhere in the realm of this. I think Jerry West was 3 for 18 or 3 for 16, something like that, and Russ broke that record. Not a record you want to break.
No.
Okay? But at the same time, and this was one of those nights where people were heavy on his head, despite the fact that he had 16 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, I don't know. I mean, he got to the free throw line at least. He was 7 for 10. That's better than what he shot on the season. Those kinds of things. Closing out the game, winning by 7 after trailing by 4. That's solid.
I'll take it.
Okay, I think Paul George turned it on late. I think he was dealing with some mental games. That he was booed from the second he stepped on the court for warm-ups, through introductions, every time he touched the ball from then on.
I love Lakers fans.
I use this metaphor on Twitter, and I think a lot of people agreed with me. It's kind of like you want to go on a date with a girl, and she shows early interest before the date's ever even talked about. Okay? But then it comes time for you to ask her on the date, and she doesn't even want to talk about it anymore. She's not even interested. So then when you see her again, you're mad at her because she didn't show up for the date that was never supposed to happen in the first place.
Right.
And I get it.
Yeah.
He at one point said he would like to play in Los Angeles. Here's a few things. I would like to own a boat one day.
Yeah.
I would like to travel the world.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to take my wife to many faraway places. When those things don't happen because I have a teacher's salary, my wife's not going to get mad at me because she understands. Make sense?
Yeah. No,
So-
I will say it's funny because, well, from our perspective, because like the first video that they released this summer, I was like, wow, he's going to LA. It's over.
The first video.
They did the 3-part series or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like I can
remember
see
it.
a little bit of that because like it was definitely like leaning that way.
I didn't think that. Though,
I
but
did.
I do think it's
I was
funny
like,
that
well,
you thought
that's bad. But I will say I thought it was funny that the crowd's chant as they're losing, and it's like obvious that they're gonna take the L. They're chanting, "We don't need you," as Paul George shoots free throws.
knocking down free throws.
Yeah, and he looks over and says, "I didn't even give you a meeting."
Yeah.
Like that's great.
Didn't need it.
Yeah. It's awesome.
That doesn't happen very often. Okay, and that brings us to Friday night's game. Knocked off the Trailblazers in Portland. I pointed this out to you, and a bunch of people pointed this out. I wrote about it in a couple different places. This is the first win for the Thunder against the Blazers in Portland since February of 2014.
Almost 5 years.
Yes. The
month
last
shy.
8 meetings were losses, and I'll be honest, most of them were not even close. It's just kind of the way that it's gone. And it's been frustrating to be a Thunder fan playing in Portland, and then they almost lost this one as well.
Yeah.
Played really what I thought was poorly early on. Yusuf Nurkic, he just destroyed. He went off early in the first half. Adams looked like a little baby. Couldn't get anything done. And then the Thunder comes alive in the tail end of the third quarter. Manages to take a 6-7 point lead into the fourth, and then extends it to 10 or 11 at one point. Almost loses it at the end, but they held on.
Yeah, it's like every time we try to put away a team, we just let them right back in, and I feel like I almost jinx it because I'm like, hey, let's put them away here.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, is that my fault? Am I to blame for this?
You're not the only one that says things like that. I can say that for a fact. I'm right in that same boat. But once again, this is one of those games for Russ. He shot really well. Paul George has been pretty solid and consistent. He had
68
struggled
points.
He had struggled from 3.
Yeah.
Previous few games, shot 5 for 9. This one, they combined for 68 points.
And then I want to talk about Nerlens, his hands, man, on defense.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Difference maker.
He played 14 minutes, which is fairly close to what his season average is, if I remember.
Doesn't seem like that many minutes.
Correctly. For a normal player, it's not.
No. I meant like it doesn't seem like he's playing that much.
Oh.
Well,
he's averaging 13.9, which is pretty spot on considering that he is literally on the court every second that Steven Adams is not. And Adams is averaging, you guessed it, 34 minutes a game. Okay? So it makes sense that when one's not on, the other is. And the problem is you can't really play them at the same time. You could, you're just going to be really long. And that's not the way the NBA plays anymore. Otherwise, Nerlens would be a really solid 4 spot, honestly.
Yeah.
In like the old NBA,
right.
He would have fit in well with Adams the 5, and it would have been a monster. But the thing is,
too slow nowadays.
That's just not the way it is. With Noel only averaging 14 minutes, he's putting up some pretty ridiculous numbers for what he's doing.
He was 4 for 4.
He was 4 for 4. He's only averaging 5 points, but obviously he goes for a bit of not really an explosion, but a pretty solid 10 points there. 5 rebounds, and he's averaging He's averaging 4.7. I mean, that's a lot of rebounds for only a few minutes of play. But most importantly, he carries a lot of what even Steven Adams carries on the defensive end, and that's with his quick hands. He managed, 3 steals? Yeah, he had 3 steals against the Trailblazers. 2 of those were against Damian Lillard,
that's
one of the league's top point guards. Last season, first team All-NBA, and they came at a clutch point in the game. That was the point
and
when
they
it
led
was
the points, I
bench.
believe.
Huh?
I think they all led the points, didn't they?
They did. That was the point in the game where the Thunder was starting to turn the corner and push, and he was the root cause of a lot of that. Whenever those types of things happen, he also had 2 blocks. One of those was a chase down block. Listen, when a young guy can come off the bench and do those types of things, he's not just impacting the game; he's impacting the atmosphere of the game.
Right.
You're in a volatile environment, the Moda Center. Which, by the way, this is totally random, but they gave away the entire series of The Office to a whole row.
What?
It was one of their giveaways, and I saw it and I tweeted about it.
That's dope.
The Moda Center, their official Twitter handle, they responded back with the Office gif of Michael and Dwight raising the roof. So, anyways, I just thought that was cool. But anyways,
that's cool.
You're in a volatile environment, which haven't won there in almost 5 years. A young guy comes and makes plays like that. It sucks the momentum away from the home team, and the Thunder's able to capitalize, and that's kind of what they were able to do. Solid game all around.
Yeah, I think real quick. I think it goes back to what we talked about with Diallo. Just having a guy that can come off the bench and do that. The Thunder don't just have one guy; they've got multiple different guys who can go off, Nader on any given night, and that's a difference maker.
Whenever you've got guys that are able to do that, whichever team he does it against, now that team knows that guy.
Yeah.
And they remember that guy. We have been a victim
on
to
like
that
the
guy.
opposite side of that.
We have been on the opposite side of that so many times. So it's so refreshing to not be on the opposite side, but to do that. So, all in all, we won 4. Since we last met, 4 of the last 5. Thunder is 8-3 in the last 11. And what's most impressive to me about those 11 games is only 4 of those have been at home.
Yeah.
We're 3-1 at home, 5-2 on the road. The 3 losses were by a combined 8 points. Lost by 2 to Minnesota.
So frustrating.
4 points at Houston and 2 points at Dallas. All 3 of those could have, maybe even should have been wins. I'm thinking specifically at the Minnesota game and the Mavericks game. Those definitely should have been. But all in all, this is the 5th 3-game winning streak of the season for the Thunder. We have a chance tonight against the Wizards at home to make it the 4th 4-game winning streak of the season. But we only had 1 winning streak of 5 or more games. That was when we had the 7-game streak right after the 0-4 start to the season. So it'd be cool to see us start to string some wins together here. And looking ahead, I mean, the schedule could be a little bit difficult this month, playing a lot of teams that are either playoff teams or should at least be in the playoff conversation. Yeah. I'd like to see us.
I saw something where it admitted the Thunder have had a pretty easy schedule thus far, but a lot of those games have been on the road. Yes. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think it's like 24 out of our last 40-something are at home. So over 50% of our remaining games are going to be at home.
We are. I went and looked. We had the second most games on the road in the West, and we're 3rd or 4th overall. Very heavy road schedule. That's exactly right. That's good for us because we've been pretty solid at home, and I made a bold prediction at the beginning of the season. Do you remember how many it was? I
think you said 6.
6. I think it was 6. That we would have no more than 6 home losses, and as of
4?
Right now, we've got 4.
Okay.
We've only played 17 games, so that means we've got another 24 home games. So we need to go 22-2 in those last 24. It's not impossible, but it's gonna be hard.
The Thunder will be sitting pretty solid if they can go 22-2 on their remaining home games.
If we finish with only 6 home losses, we would have a better home record than almost every, at least half the teams currently, let alone probably the best one in the NBA at that point. So we'll see how that shakes down. Up next on our list of topics, we've got a little MVPG talk. Paul George playing by far, maybe not by far, but maybe by far, his best season of his NBA career. Got a couple stats here. Averaging 27 points per game. That's 7th in the NBA. 8.1 rebounds. That's 30th in the NBA. 4 assists. That's 45th in the NBA. 2.2 steals. That's 2nd in the NBA, right behind Russell Westbrook. and only averaging 2.8 turnovers. He's 5th in Kia's MVP ladder rankings, and
Which doesn't make sense.
I want to talk about the 4 guys ahead of him really quickly, and kind of. I've got some thoughts here about where I think those guys rank, and I want to know what you. So first off, do you know who's number 1? You should.
LeBron.
No.
James Harden.
Of course. Got to be James. James Harden's playing out of his mind right now. All right, the last few weeks that he's had, there has not been an offensive stretch in the NBA since Kobe Bryant did it back in, I can't even remember when it was, about 10 years ago. Okay, so it makes sense to me that he's number 1. That's fine. I get it. It's not pretty basketball, in my opinion. I don't like to see a guy shoot 27 free throws in a single night. Some people like that brand of basketball. Some people like to see a guy throw up literally 23s. I think he's put up 111 threes in the last 7 games. It's just outrageous. It's to me. Listen, if Paul George were to put up that many, he'd probably make about as many as James Harden does. Right?
Yeah.
Would you agree?
I'd say so. Unless it's
But that's not really what the Thunder does, and I guess the Rockets are more of a 3-ball team, obviously, and that's fine. Whatever. I say all that to say, I understand why he's number 1 in the MVP rankings.
I say that to say this.
He's number 1, and I'm okay with it right now. I don't know if it's going to stay that way. I don't know if it should stay that way, but I get it. Okay? I get it. Number 2. You want to take a guess?
Steph Curry. Kevin Durant.
Steph is close. Steph's actually number 3. Kevin Durant's not in the top 5 anymore.
Number 2. Kawhi.
Kawhi's number 4.
Oh, my gosh.
Forgetting my preseason MVP pick. Giannis.
Oh, okay.
The Greek Freak. Once again, for him, I kind of get that he's up there.
Did you see him in The Rock?
Yes.
I know this is off topic, but okay.
Yes, I saw what he said.
Yeah.
Did you see The Rock's response?
Yeah,
Okay.
about working out and then
good stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, I see Giannis at number 2. He leads the Bucks and everything. In my opinion, he is a true most valuable player to his team because without him, they would be like a 15-win team. Let's be honest. That's where they'd be. So I get those 2. I ain't mad at them. It's 3 and 4 that I kind of start to question. Steph is at number 3, and here's the thing. I can see part of the argument because he had to sit out 11 games with injury, and they went 5 and 6 in those games. I would add that the only reason they played that poorly was why? The drama that's been going on. Even with him in, they're still not. They are playing right now their worst basketball that they have played since before Kevin Durant got there.
Right.
And in my opinion, part of that reason is because Steph is reverting back to more of his old ways of being more of the leading scorer, taking more of the shots, not looking Kevin Durant's way as much, et cetera, et cetera.
Which is only going to cause further issues.
Yes, because Kevin Durant does not like taking a back seat to anybody. All right? In his opinion, he's probably too tall to be in the back seat. But anyways.
Well, everybody just hates him because he's so good at basketball. That's why.
Yes, exactly.
So.
Number 4 is Kawhi, and this is the one that I don't really understand. He's missed 9 games so far this season, presumably for rest coming off his injury last season. Do you know what the Raptors are in those 9 games?
9-0.
7-2.
I went for it, and I was...
No, but listen, the 2 losses, I'm trying to remember, one was against the Bucks and one was against Philadelphia, I think. Okay? 2 really good teams. Without him, though, they have defeated the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Warriors. All solid teams.
The Warriors.
At the time when they beat the Clippers were... That was during their win streak. They've not been so hot lately. Yeah, they destroyed the Warriors. It was not even close. So my thing is he really that valuable if Toronto is still that good? You get where I'm going?
Yeah, I feel you.
So that's kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where I'm at with that. Then you've got Paul George, and once again, it kind of goes back to arguing against Steph. Steph plays on a team full of all-stars, another MVP winner. It's kind of hard to give Paul George consideration considering he's playing next to Russell Westbrook, but you could make the argument that Paul George has really carried the Thunder at times, and he has for sure. I don't think this is his team. I still would take, if I had to choose between the 2, I'd take Russ any day of the week, but that's not to take away from what Paul George is doing. This season, he has been, for the Thunder, the most valuable player. He has I don't like to give credit to one guy, just like I don't like to blame one guy, but he's almost certainly single-handedly carried the Thunder to a few wins here and there.
Yeah,
so
without a doubt. Maybe more than a few. But
in my opinion, he should be number 3 in
I
this
agree.
ladder.
He should be top 3.
For sure. So we'll see where that goes as the season continues. We start to get closer to the back half of things.
I don't understand the thought, I guess, of the national media, because there was they did a whole segment on Paul George on ESPN. The whole segment was great, just talking about the way he's been playing, what he's done for the Thunder, and then they end it with Paul George should find himself beginning to enter MVP discussions. I'm like, he shouldn't be entering, like he should be there. You know what I mean? Like what?
Let's be honest. If he wasn't in Oklahoma City, he would probably be at the forefront of the conversation.
Right. Look at James Harden's recent success, and he's up to number 1. Mm-hmm. Paul George hasn't had quite. He's literally number 2 in scoring. I mean, in the last 10 games behind James Harden. Right. So I don't understand how.
And he had a ridiculous December.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think number 3 is even close to James Harden and Paul George. I think number 3 is quite a bit underneath.
Probably.
So I don't get it, man.
Right. Moving on to Russell Westbrook. Petty Russ showed up in perfect fashion in Los Angeles, despite shooting so terribly.
That's the only thing that kind of makes it
No, that's what makes it better.
You think so?
Yes. Here's the thing. For those of you that missed the Lakers game on Wednesday, this is what happens. He kicks to, I think it was off a pass from Russ. Paul George goes up. He puts up a mid-range. He gets fouled by Lance Stevenson, who is the biggest troll on the court in the NBA, not off the court.
Who was all over Paul George,
He was
by the way.
all over Paul George. Fouls him. The shot goes in. The camera cuts to Russell Westbrook because
for some reason,
he's playing the air guitar, which is what Lance has done. That's kind of been his.
And he looks right at him too, I believe.
He does it, and he just strumming. And then there's another clip of him that shows up in the same vein of things. A Laker fan is yelling at him. He looks up, he gives a wink, and then gives a little smooch. I love that. Russ is playing the worst shooting. He's shooting the worst of his entire season, one of the worst lines of his career, and he's just having a grand old time.
Yeah.
Because the Thunder are winning. Paul George is playing well. 3 for 20 is awful. Do you know how many shots he took in the fourth quarter of that game, though?
0.
He took 2. Okay? One of them...
I keep going for it, and I'm going to get it here
One
in a
of them
minute.
was a layup. He was driving to the basket, and the other was a 3 when the game... Both of them were pretty much when the game was already in hand. That tells me he's not afraid to defer to the hot hand. In the past, there was always the argument, can he give the ball up to Kevin Durant? KD's gone. He had to be the man. Who was he going to give it up to? Now he has another guy next to him that's playing extremely well, and he has shown, and it's not just that one game. It's been multiple games where he has not been afraid to defer to Paul George, and to me, that shows growth. I get he's not shot well. He's bounced back with some solid games. I'm praying tonight's not a night where he goes back the other way. We should blow Washington out. We'll talk about that in our weekly forecast. But the point is, he's not afraid to defer whenever it's time.
Yeah.
And to me, that's growth.
I think this might be a little bit out there, but I think Paul George and Russ might have the best bromance currently in the NBA.
I would think so.
Because here's the deal. Russ can have what we would consider to be a bad night, and everyone's just talking about how awful he was, and then you go to the post game, and Paul George is like, yeah, Russ did this really well, Russ did that, you know what I mean? And then
exactly.
On the opposite, Russ is always there to, talk about how great Paul George was, which has been true. I just like that they had got each other's backs, and that makes a big difference on the court.
I think the fact that, specifically the Paul George part, that he comes off some of these incredible nights, and he goes and he points to Russ. Mm-hmm. They point to each other. They point to other teammates. Listen, Paul George has bought into the idea that this game isn't about me. It's a team game. I really do think he's bought into the Oklahoma City mindset, which is awesome. And he has been the single least frustrated person with Russell Westbrook throughout this whole process. I think he's been frustrated for him.
Yeah.
Not at him. And to me, that means a lot. He wants to see Russ do well. Listen, I want Russell Westbrook to take that elbow jumper. He finally was hitting it. He hit it against, I think it was Phoenix when he was hitting. He was hitting against the Mavs at home, and he was hitting in Portland, okay? Paul George wants him to take that shot. So whenever fans are screaming, stop shooting, Russ, I get it. He can slow it down and try to attack. Mm-hmm. Don't stop shooting, but stop shooting those shots. Right. Get a better look. I can understand that. But Paul George wants him to take those shots because if Russ makes those, that makes Paul George's job so much easier. Look at the end of that Dallas game. Paul George couldn't get the ball because they were daring Russell Westbrook to shoot it. If Russ is hitting, Paul George is going to get his. And I think when guys get into that team mentality, they finally buy in, they understand that. If this guy's playing well, my job gets easier and I'm going to get mine. And I think they're both getting theirs, and everybody else is eating in the process. Obviously the Thunder's winning. Can't be mad about that.
Yeah, for sure. So. Speaking of biting into the OKC life or whatever, did you see Westbrook's comments on being in a small market?
Yes, I did.
I love that.
They asked him about playing in a small market. He said, I don't believe in small markets. He talked about his commercials that he had. Last year, I think he said he had maybe 4 going.
Yeah, he had like the most out of, I think he was.
I think it's true, though.
Anybody,
Listen,
he had the most commercials.
And I'm going to get a little philosophical teacher here on you a little bit. But when I was in high school, I read Up From Slavery by Booker T. Washington. It's his autobiography. I teach it too. I don't know if you remember. Actually, I don't think I taught it to your class when you were one of my students. But I taught it. I still teach it to my juniors. And one of the lessons that Booker T. Washington he believes in, and he believed in, and I've adopted it myself, is if you make yourself valuable, you're going to be desired, and it doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter your religion, doesn't matter your gender, so on and so forth. You can throw a fit about being hated on because of your color or your beliefs or your gender or whatever it is. But if you do something that makes you valuable, you do something that other people need, they're going to want you regardless. Russell Westbrook has done things that makes him valuable. It has been incredibly out of the ordinary. It's not the typical way of doing things. He is not your traditional point guard in any sense of the way. But he has a value, and he's made it into a product. And because of that, I really do feel that he is maybe one of the most divisive players in the league of the history, simply because people either love him or they hate him. There's very little in the middle. Mm-hmm. Kind of like a Kobe Bryant guy. There were Kobe fans who would have literally died for him, and then there were Kobe haters who would have literally killed to hurt him. Or
right.
what you get what I'm saying? So I don't know. That's my take on that, and so I agree. I love that he has that mentality, though.
And I think it just shows a lot about Oklahoma City. This is a confirmed story, 100%. On New Year's Eve, Russ was parking. I don't know if you know where JJ's Alley is downtown, a little dive bar.
I don't know exactly.
There's literally an alley there, and Russ parked his Lambo there and got a parking ticket. And first of all, Russell Westbrook should never be receiving tickets in Oklahoma.
He should have a reserved parking spot at every establishment.
Secondly, there were really people offering to pay for that ticket for him.
That's wild.
This man had the largest contract in NBA history at one point, and there are people in Oklahoma City offering to pay his parking ticket. That's insane, man. So, I think about those things when I'm like, how did Russ pitch Oklahoma City to Paul George? I feel like it's definitely just the city, man.
Yo, man, those Brahms burgers are bomb. What do you say that for a guy that grows up in Southern California? What are you gonna say? The weather's nice? No, not at all.
Here's the thing.
There was 4, 5, 6 inches of snow on the ground a few days ago, and I was outside in shorts.
Yeah, exactly.
Just about an hour ago. It's wild.
I actually did think about it. I don't know if we've got time for this, but just real quick. If you look how LeBron was received in LA, most people were excited that he was there, but they literally vandalized his like mural there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you go to LA, you're never going to surpass Kobe. You know what I mean?
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Or Magic.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Kareem, or
if you go anywhere else, you're never going. Someone has always been there before. In Oklahoma City, this is this is a new franchise,
right?
And Russ and Paul George can literally be, Kobe, or you know what I'm saying, or Magic. They can be that of Oklahoma City, and I think that is a lot of what. Do you want to follow in someone's footsteps, or do you want to be the first?
I think Paul George has rapidly become what Kevin Durant was on his way to becoming. Mm-hmm. In terms of Thunder lore and fame and history and legend, Kevin Durant would have been the guy for the Thunder organization for all of eternity. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Regardless of how good Russell Westbrook was going to get, regardless of, say he finds that triple-double streak, even then, had Kevin Durant stayed, there's no telling what would have happened. Just to be honest, there's no telling if they would have been the team to beat the Warriors the next year, all that. I truly think Kevin Durant would have been the guy that Michael Jordan is to the Bulls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He would have been the guy, and nobody could have ever replaced that. But he bailed. Russell Westbrook, he filled in really quickly. Paul George, he's filled in really quickly. And I think Paul George, he's in his second year, and he's already, in terms of top whatever favorite Thunder players of all time, he's right up there for me. And it's not just because of the things he's doing on the court. It's because of the attitude that he's had along the way, the fact that he chose to stay here when he had no real reason to.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest.
It was not logical.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything in it that said this is the smart decision. But I'll tell you right now, listen, what is it Sam Presti, he quoted, scared money don't make none.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
You have to bet big if you want to win big. I think Paul George made a big bet, and I'm hoping that we all get to experience the winnings.
Yeah.
Well, time will tell.
Yeah.
Okay? I'll tell you right now, moving in a different direction here, I don't think anybody's afraid of the Warriors anymore. I don't think the Thunder has any reason to be afraid of anybody right now. I think the Thunder can hang with any team in this league, and I mean, we're number 2 in the West. The Warriors are behind us.
Yeah.
We're 0-2 to the Nuggets, who are ahead of us. We need to turn that around. But when it comes down to it, I like our chances.
Yeah, this year's exciting because what I still say that the Warriors are probably the favorites to win, of course. But that being said, I feel like the NBA is wide open. I mean, you look at the East, there's several teams that can come out from there. You look at the West, same thing. It's not like, oh my gosh, it's going to be Cleveland and Golden State for sure. You know what I mean? So that having that is just leaving it wide open is making it really a fun year. Outside of Thunder basketball, just in general, it's fun to watch the NBA again because you don't have 2 teams or 1 team just dominating. It makes it, it's like the NFL, man. A lot more enjoyable. You never know. It is, though. Yeah. You never know who's going to come
Mark's
out.
Cousins went to Golden State. Everybody's like, oh, you run the NBA. He hadn't played yet. I don't think he's going to come in and just turn things around. I think it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
But anyways.
One can only hope.
Moving on. A couple things we want to talk about, and then we need to scoot on out here. We got 10 minutes. First off, let's touch on this real quick. Where is Alex Abrinas?
No one knows. I hope the dude's okay.
I really do. I think he was out because he was sick, and I'm hoping that there's nothing more than that. That's all it is. I'm starting to get even a little concerned for the guy because I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know. I hope it's nothing. So far, he's been out for what's ever being called personal reasons, and I don't really know what that means. I'm hoping it's not anything serious with his family or anything like that. So
it's not normal, that's for sure.
It isn't. And here's the thing, though. People that are saying terrible things about him, it needs to stop. We don't know what's going on in the guy's life. These players are human beings. They've got real lives outside of the game of basketball. Yeah. Yes, I understand it's their job, it's their duty, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. But it doesn't mean that they don't have other things going on. They don't experience emotions and struggles and so on and so forth. Cut the guy some slack. Hopefully, whatever it is. Listen, I think the Thunder organization handles situations well. So the fact that he's out, I don't think that's bad or an indictment on the organization. I think it's probably a good thing if he's missing. That it's like he needs to miss, so let him miss. Figure out whatever it is, let's get him back.
Yeah.
So on and so forth.
And you never know with illness if that's like a physical illness or, something going on with him personally.
For real.
And, mentally. So
I
hope he's good.
I agree.
Sincerely.
Hope that he's back soon. Okay. Let's talk about top 5 wins of the season. Okay. I believe you've got yours ready.
This was difficult.
It was difficult because I don't know if we've had that many highlight wins.
Yeah, I was looking at it, I'm like, this is tough.
I think we've got some good wins, and don't get me wrong, but I don't think there's been a whole lot of, wow, that was a really good win or anything.
We definitely had some on there that I was looking at. I was like, well, if we would have won that one, then that would definitely
would have been one.
Yeah,
you're right. So I'll let you go ahead and, do you want to do them in any particular order? Or
let's start at number 5.
Number 5. Okay.
And work our way to the best.
Well, I'm just going to throw mine together really quickly.
So you want me to go? We're going one at a time, or you want me to go straight through?
Let's go one at a time.
Okay. Number 5. This may be a surprise, but I've got the first one of the season against Phoenix, and I just think being on a 4-game losing streak
to start.
Yeah, that was huge.
I almost said that for the same reason, so I'm not there. Yeah. For me, I'm going to have to say the win at Sacramento on December 19th, 132-113. It was a big win, and if I remember correctly, it was kind of close. early on. I can't really remember off the top of my head, but I will say that we had already lost to Sacramento twice in the season, and in the words of Kendrick Perkins, it's the blank Kings. Like, we don't lose to these fools. Dude, the Kings are playing fairly well. They're not quite there. They're just outside of playoff contention right now. They're 19-20, so they've kind of stumbled along the way, but solid for them. Who you got number 4?
Number 4, I've got at Utah on December 22nd.
Same.
I think it was like a 107, like a 1-point win.
Yeah, 107, 106.
I just think finishing that,
in
especially,
Utah,
yeah.
hostile
I think we had already
environment.
beat them once.
We had.
Okay.
And it was a lot.
It was still
wasn't near as
close. It was like 6 or 7 points, I think. But after last season's, ending, to pull out a win like that in Utah was huge, in my opinion.
I agree. What do you have for number 3?
Number 3, I have the Sacramento game that you just mentioned.
Okay. For me, I went with the Detroit game, which I probably wouldn't put it at number 3, just because Detroit was on a bit of a hot streak at the time, and we came in and smacked them. To me, that was solid, and I feel like we might have been the beginning of their downfall because they've been struggling for a while since then. But anyways, number 2.
I feel like ours are going to be flip-flopped here. I've got the Portland win the other night as my number 2.
Okay, then what do you have at number 1?
Golden State.
See, I've got Golden State at number 2 just because Steph didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
I do think blowing them out was a big deal. To me, at Portland, biggest win of the season. I'll be honest, maybe the biggest win in Paul George's time in Oklahoma City. I get that Portland they're still
I just pounded that coffee.
They're a challenging Western Conference team. They're currently at 7th, but they're only 4.5 games back of first place, and they're technically they're tied at 4th, being 4.5 games back. So I do think it's interesting that all 5 of our games were road games. That says a lot about this team. Being able to win on the road is a big deal. So we got a few minutes left. I'm gonna cue up some music for you real quick, and then you need to go ahead and go for it.
I get my music?
Yeah, Craig's got a new segment that he would like to start doing, and tell us what it's called again.
It's called Come On, Man.
Come on, man. All right, so what is it? Music's flowing. What is it?
So this week, I'm going to go with, I'm sure everybody heard, Floyd Mayweather fought on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
It was actually the day before here because of the time difference in Japan. The whole thing was weird, okay? So this Tenshin guy, I'm just going to say his first name, Tenshin, he is a undefeated 20-year-old kickboxer. I believe he's a world champion. And he says that he's going to fight Floyd Mayweather. Floyd's like, yeah, I'm doing that. And then all of a sudden it's off, not happening. Like the next week, it's happening. And so it was a 3-round, 3-minute rounds, right? So the whole broadcast, I guess, it wasn't shown here. But the whole broadcast, I guess, was like 8 hours long. Just to get to the main, it was brutal. Like just to get to the
probably one of the biggest things that's ever happened
to the main event.
Yeah.
And so it's main event time, and they say Floyd Mayweather's not even in the arena. Like he's not even there. He's an hour late. So he finally comes out, right? And I guess he wore this mask, and he's like joking around, laughing, and this other guy's taking it real seriously. Floyd comes out, throws a bunch of fake punches for a minute, and then knocks him down 3 times in 1 minute. Tenshin's corner, throws in the towel. He's crying,
which is
and
wild.
It's first of all, that's like my come on, man, don't cry after you lost. I like that. Secondly, it had to be fixed. It was obviously, Floyd he was posting on his Instagram 4 hours before the fight. He's like at a buffet, just chowing down. You look at his fight with Conor, who had never like remotely fought like this before. He did a full camp. He had all these rules on what the gloves could be, what the gloves could not be, what Conor could do, what Conor couldn't do. Mm-hmm. Floyd didn't care for this. Like, why would it be that way for... And he made a big deal about how young Conor was. Why would he not made a big deal about this 20-year-old? Mm-hmm. So it had to be... Like, Floyd wasn't worried about it. It was weird. And then to cry, I don't know if that was to seal the deal that it was, you know what I mean? Like, I gotta cry to make this look real. But the whole thing, it's like, come on, man.
So you think there was some shady stuff going on?
And also... If it was rigged, why would you rig it in favor of Floyd? Whenever this is your undefeated champion that you're, trying to promote, why would you do that to him? And if you were the kid, the 20-year-old, and you accepted that, why would you, that's something I would do. Like, right now, if someone said, hey, do you want to get in a fake fight with Floyd Mayweather and make millions of dollars? I'd be like, yeah, sign me up.
Deal.
But if I'm a 20-year-old undefeated kickboxer, I'm going to try to win that fight.
Right.
So the whole thing is just like, come on,
Kind of
man.
weird.
Yeah.
Kind of shady. We
Come
don't
on.
know what's going on. That's fair. All right, we got 3 minutes left. Let's do a quick rundown of the weekly forecast. We play tonight.
Dare I say 4-0?
Well, let me get to the games first.
I'm just
I'm
saying.
so excited. Wizards tonight in a few hours play the Timberwolves on Tuesday at home. We travel to San Antonio to play the Spurs, and then for the rare, playing the Spurs again, but at home on
Why does
Saturday.
that keep happening?
We
least it's not-
do it again with Toronto coming up, so at least it's not back to back.
Are other teams having to do this?
I have no idea. It's the weirdest scheduling quirk that I think I've ever seen, perhaps. But anyways,
The Wizards are struggling. There's a lot of stuff going on there. I don't think they're healthy either.
not at all. They're missing 3 starters.
Yeah.
Sorry, 2 starters.
Has to be a win.
I feel like tonight's a given. Take it seriously. Come out and play well, play strong, play like we have been. But I feel pretty good about it. Tuesday against Minnesota at home. What do you think?
I mean, they're not to the level the Thunder are.
Not
if
at
we play
all.
to our
They're
abilities.
5-15 on the
should
road.
be.
One of those wins is against Oklahoma City.
They're 5-5 in their last 10, which
Yeah.
out of the bottom like 9 through 15, that's the best. They're playing the best right now out
Yeah.
of those teams.
You
So
ain't wrong.
they're the best of the worst at the moment.
Yeah.
So
Give me that win.
yeah,
Now the Spurs.
Spurs.
Play them in San Antonio and then at home. Listen, I'm gonna say we split there just because
I am too. I know I said
they're
4-0,
8-2 in their
but
last 10. They're 17-5 at home, only 6-12 on the road. I'll say we split home and home there with them. And yeah, I think
I'm
that's
going
gonna be
3-1.
it for us. You got anything else?
That's it, man.
All right. Well, thanks again for tuning in for another week of Thunder Things with Thunder Guys. I'm Zach.
I'm Craig.
We are the Thunder Guys. Give us a follow on Twitter, Instagram. Give us a like on Facebook. Check us out at the Thunder Guys. We're live tweeting every game, previewing and recapping the games, and throwing out some opinions here and there. So either way, whatever you're doing, make sure you're thundering up, and we will catch you next week.